Hi everyone, happy Thursday. I hope you are working towards finishing Essay 1, both parts 1 and 2 that I've been talking about this week with you via these videos. As I said, I've promised you a video a day, and we'll conclude tomorrow, not with a video, but with an Ask Me Anything. And I'll talk more about that at the end of this short video for you tonight. So I do want to answer a couple of questions in this slideshow. So those of y'all who've been waiting for some emails from me, if you sent a question today, you're going to hopefully get the answer here. I do appreciate the emails that I've been getting and the detailed questions. Some of you've shared a couple of thesis statements with me to check, and I've been able to converse with you that way. Please do feel that you can do that, folks. This is a short semester and you've really got to get on the ball if you want to get some help, or if you feel the need for some extra counsel when it comes to your work. All right, so let's start today this short presentation by going first to some suggestions. So the first and foremost thing you have to do, and this would apply to any class where there's an assignment sheet, make sure you've read and reread the assignment sheet. This one shares with you your assigned audience and the format, documentation, language, and length requirements. This is your blueprint for the requirements. It has advice on it too at the end. So I actually give you a blueprint for the essay's requirements. And at the end, you've got that long list. I think I call it tidbits for advice as you're completing. I even give you at a certain point the goals you should strive to reach in specific order. So that assignment sheet from the first day that this module opened is your blueprint. Now, if you haven't followed along very closely with the module and been online every day as you're supposed to be and engaging, hopefully in the next module you'll be able to do that, and you'll heed my words. You'll listen to me as I'm telling you that you have to look at all the documents. You've got to read through the assignment sheet and rubric included, as well as the discussion topics. That way you're well versed with what you are expected to do in the allotted time. All right, so the assignment sheet indicates that there are two parts in this essay to be labeled. Part 1, which is the summary. I handled that and some suggestions for it in videos 1 and 2 this week. And then part 2, which is the response. And yesterday I got a little gregarious with giving you a long model in which I laid out for you a pathway forward, a possible structure for that particular portion of this assignment. So again, please do take a look at video 3 from yesterday if you still have some questions about the response. Now, I went ahead on the next page to kind of show you what your essay pages should look like. Now, again, I'm illustrating generally, so I don't expect that your summary is going to be a paragraph long, but I definitely wanted to create part 1 and part 2 so you could see how to type that out on your page. I do want you to see the MLA format link for the header, spacing, and title formatting rules. And that MLA formatting link can be found if you go to the content link at the top of the course page, click it. It takes you to our course content. You'll see a course resources module, and in that module, you'll be able to see an MLA formatting documentation link. Okay? So, yes, you want last name and page number, even on the first page for MLA formatting. MLA header, there's some specific information that goes here. A title, MLA papers need titles, and you want to make it a title in your own words. So you don't want to have essay 1, summary and response. That's my title, and your audience is not going to understand that title. So create a title that would interest your audience, get them to read your text. So yes, you need a title. And when I was an undergrad, my professors used to say that you should have a snazzy title. I don't know that all titles need to be snazzy, but you do want to make them appealing to your particular audience. So if your audience would like a snazzy title, then snazzy away, folks. So yes, you do want to type in part 1, summary, and then as I have here, your words, go here. Remember, no more than a page or so. And then part 2, the response, your words, and then a page to a page and a half or so. So we are not writing a book here, right? We are being incredibly conscious of our words. We're using word economy, as I talked about in the first video. And then, of course, you're really choosing 1 or 2 aspects. No more than that. If you read your assignment sheet, no more than that to discuss in the response and to respond to using one of those formats I talked about in video 3 yesterday. But this is what you definitely want to make sure you have your paper looking like, right? This lifts your ethos, your own credibility. It shows that you've watched this, you've paid attention to the assignment sheet, and that you've attempted and made all attempts humanly possible to follow the guidelines set down. All right, so other ideas that I want to share with you as you're revising and refining: get the names, dates, and title correct, so punctuation as well as spelling. Take a look at the resource I posted in discussion topic 2. It'll help with names, spellings, episode titles, etc. So hopefully you've posted your summary, your full draft of your summary in discussion topic 2, and then you have chosen a fellow peer's summary and followed the guidelines that I set out in that particular discussion topic's initial post. And I've given you several steps to follow. I wanted to make sure you had some footholds when you're responding to your peer, so that you just didn't sort of do thumbs up, you're cool, it's great. You really want to dig in and try to give other people responses, since you and you alone are part of the discourse community, along with the rest of us, that is engaging with this material in this way this summer. Okay, so to check dialogue, you may be quoting in your paper, turn on the closed captioning on Netflix. That way you can use what you see on the screen to ensure that you're quoting it correctly. That's a great check on yourself as you're going through refining and revising. Titles of shows are italicized. Titles of episodes are put inside quotation marks. This would go the same way for titles of CDs are italicized. Titles of songs are put inside quotation marks. You could have the title of a film put inside, italicized, and one of the scenes that might have a title put inside quotation marks. So the general rule is big things, right, are italicized when we punctuate them, and we want to get the name right. It's American Vandal, not Vandals, right? But parts of big things, so whether it's an episode, a song, a scene, a poem, right, from perhaps a larger poetry collection, those are all put inside quotation marks. And this becomes really important, you might imagine, if you have a CD that's entitled with the title of a song on that CD. So my old standard is the Beastie Boys CD, Licensed to Ill. So that's the title of the CD from way back in 19 None of Your Business. And then there's also a song, Licensed to Ill. And to distinguish those, I'd have to punctuate them correctly, right? So my title of the CD would be italicized, my title of the song in quotation marks. You do need a works cited page, so I want you to get that right too by checking out how to cite a television show. Again, you can find a link to the MLA Style Guide in the course resources under our class's content link. Other suggestions I have related to style and content, and this does get into some of the questions I received today. We use present tense verbs, so literary present, to talk about literature. The logic is whenever someone picks up a book, or in this case, reviews one of the 8 episodes of American Vandal Season 1, it is happening again for the very first time. So we would say something like Dylan Maxwell says, not Dylan Maxwell said, right? So you want present tense verbs when discussing literature. You need to remember power-packed first sentences and recognizable organizing principle for the summary portion. And I talk about this specifically in videos 1 and 2. Remember I had the character-centered, the satire-centered, or episodic. You could have an episodic structure. So I gave you 3 strategies. They're not the only ones, but they can certainly help you, especially if you feel yourself out there floundering and you're not really sure how to proceed. That's what I was trying to do, is to give you strategies. The next thing, make certain to check if body paragraphs in the response contain argumentative topic sentences, stake a claim, evidence, descriptions, and or quoted material, since you might have both, and commentary. How does your evidence work to prove your point? One word here on what I mean when I say descriptions of evidence. When we're watching film or trying to describe later on maybe the tone of voice that Sarah Koenig uses when we're in our next unit on Serial, that podcast, we're going to have to do a lot of description. So let's say you are talking about a film technique and how it plays out on the screen. Your job as the writer becomes to utilize descriptive language to share with your readers, with your audience, how the reenactment occurs. That was my example. Remember the reenactment on the dock of Alex Trimboli and Sarah Pearson. So you've got to describe. And sometimes you might also be able to quote. But even then, you're going to have to describe. Let's say you want to talk about the tone of something that Dylan says to Pete. You're going to have to use your words to describe that tone. It's the way that you let your audience know your point of view by accurately describing and describing vividly. So again, this is part of the test here. You do need an explicit thesis for the response portion. And that I talked about in video 3. That's the place where you are staking a claim about 1 or 2, no more than 2 aspects of what you viewed. Remember I talked about an interpretive or an analytic response, and I went through that in video 3. I definitely hope that you listen to that one, since it can provide you with some specifics for how to proceed in that second portion, in the response portion. But you do need a thesis. So in some ways, the summary, it can't have a thesis. It can have an organizing principle. So one of those specific kinds of structures, the logos appeal is what I talked about there. The episodes, the character-centered or maybe satire-centered. So structure is what I'm talking about in the summary. You definitely want to pack those initial sentences in the summary with all of the information I discussed in video 1 in particular. But you are creating a specific argument in part 2 in the response. And so yeah, you do need a thesis. I want you to keep that in mind. Tomorrow, from 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m., I'm going to have an AMA and Ask Me Anything about Essay 1 hosted here on Course 10. What I'm going to do is set up a forum with a single topic in it. In that topic, you can post any questions you have about the essay, and I'm going to do my best to respond with detail, a resource, a reminder, etc. Tune in, or else I'm going to be watching, I don't know why I've been watching Gorillaz music videos. I don't know if you know that band, but I've been it's not really a band, it's a dude. It's one dude, and it's 2 dudes actually. It's a guy and then an animator. This is what I've learned in the last couple of weeks. So I've been addicted to this music, and I only knew a couple of their songs before. So if you don't talk to me tomorrow from 11 to 12:30, I'm just going to be sitting here listening to music and going through coupons for grocery shopping, which is what I'm going to do right after my AMA is over. Remember then, all assignments in Module 1, so that would be both discussion topics and the essay, are due tomorrow by 11:59 p.m. To turn in the essay, click Assessments at the top of our course page, Assignments, Essay 1, and Submission. And like I said, make sure to come on in tomorrow from 11 to 12:30 into my AMA about Essay 1. And later I'll be asking you if the AMA worked, if it's something I should consider doing again, and of course, if these videos are helping you. I don't see that everyone is viewing them on YouTube. I'm not seeing all of the the view counts I'd like to see. I'm a little worried about some of you all. But we persevere on, my English 1102 warriors, with hopes that in the next